So, welcome back. In this final video, I'm going to be talking about the equipment that I'm using. And one of the things I'll say about the equipment I use is that I haven't actually done it all at one time. That's one tip to you is think about what you need and buy it up as you go. So for example, for myself, what I've done is, and let me just show you, take it back to this image. You've seen this before. So it looks like quite a lot of equipment, but it's been built up over the period. And what I did was I started off with just the webcam, then I got the camera that you're looking through now, and then I started getting other bits and pieces just so that I could, as I actually needed them. It can save you a lot of money and also ensure that you actually get the get the equipment that you actually need and use. So one of the things about a mixer-based system is it allows you to have multiple cameras, which allows different angles, and it also allows you to do various different effects and so on. So you've already seen me cutting between different inputs, but one neat one which this particular one has is the what's called the super scene, and let me just come on to that. And this is really useful for this kind of video where you might want to see the presenter talking, you might not, but you want to see some imagery and also you want to see it actually in live. So what we've got here is myself doing the explaining. At the top you've got the what will be a series of images, and then at the bottom you've got the actual live studio as it is. So you're seeing in front of the scenes, but you're also seeing behind the scenes. So let me just move on to the first bit of the inputs, the cameras. Now cameras, you can spend a lot of money, but you don't actually have to. These ones were around about the £200 mark, and they're basic HD camcorders. Now when you're actually choosing a camcorder, there's, I'd say, three things to look out for. One of which is that the connectors. Make sure that it's actually got the right connectors. So these camcorders have got the mini HDMI, the mixer's got the full-size HDMI, so fairly cheap cables to connect between the two. The other thing is about the ability to stay on when it's actually, you're not recording and you don't have a memory card in. So that's a real big issue for some. So with these, they'll stay on as long as I want them. That's a setting you've got to set. And the third thing, which is perhaps the most important, is what's called a clean HDMI. So that means that the output it sends to your mixer has got none of the little battery symbols or any other symbols that you get on the viewfinder, and that's really important. But I'd say no matter how good your visuals, if your audio isn't that good, then you might as well go back to the £20 webcam. So what I've got is I've got a little lavalier mic here. Now you can just about see it there. And what with the lavalier mic, what it allows me to do is move about. So if I move my head and turn that way or turn back the way, you get the same volume, it just picks it up the same. Whereas with a tabletop mic, like you can see if you look in the bottom picture, this one here, the tabletop one, it's really good, nice quality, but the problem is that if I turned away from it, you would hear me turning away. So from that point of view, it's okay if you're going to be in a static position, but the lavalier gives you a bit more freedom of movement. As you saw in the previous videos actually, where I was standing up, moving about and what have you. It's also made a bit easier because these ones are wireless, so I'm basically not having to be tethered to the mixer. So again, that just helps with it. I would always say though, don't rely on either the microphones you get with a camcorder, because again, if you turn away you get the issues, but also it's always much better to get a slightly better quality microphone. So and with a mixer you can also connect other things to it. So for example, the images that you're seeing there, they are actually coming off my iPhone, which just sitting down here. So if I just move on like that, it's just using a keynote presentation tool on the iPhone. But this bit that I want to talk about now is the mixer, and the mixer is what really sets it apart, because with the mixer you've already seen in this video and the previous ones, you can cut between different things. Now you're seeing you can have different images sitting on top of each other and so on. And the ones that I've gone, or the one I've gone with, is the Blackmagic Design ATM Mini series. Now, Blackmagic Design are a proper broadcast manufacturer. They manufacture broadcast equipment for the industry. But these are surprisingly fully featured yet really affordable. And even the base model does a lot of fancy things, such as doing mixes, doing green screen, doing graphics. So that little ID you've got up in the corner, yep, get it right. Boop, 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 that way, yep. Again, that's getting into your head how you actually set things up. But I say it's very affordable. It does little idents like that. It does green screen, as I mentioned. It does picture in picture, can do titles. And also it's got a webcam output, so you can connect it directly to your laptop or computer and just use it as a webcam. So very, very useful. The other models in the series, like this one, and the one I'm actually using just now, which is this one, allow you to do a lot more, and they've got buttons in the front, so you can, for example, you can do the mixed screen or the split screen. So if you see over here, if you look through that camera, I can see all the different inputs, and that's actually quite important, because it's great having all these inputs, but if you don't really know what's been shown in each one, you can cut something inadvertently. So what it allows you to do is see preview before you actually go live. The other thing that this one and the ATM Mini Pro does is it allows you to stream directly to YouTube, so you don't need your computer, and that's what I'm doing just now, using them to screen. Now, as I mentioned before, if you can't actually having the mixer's great, but if you can't actually see what's going on, then it's slightly problematic, and you don't necessarily want to use your computer screen to see it. So I've just got a little monitor here, which allows me to have that multi-view, lets me see what's actually going on, and some of the things you can actually see in it include also the audio levels. It includes the streaming level, etc., etc. So it's really quite useful having that little visual reminder of it. So that's pretty much the equipment. There's a few other things though which I just want to flag up. One obviously is tripods, and with tripods again you can spend a lot of money. If you're actually going to be in a live situation, you can get, most of mine are like well under the £20 mark, and in fact a couple of them, and I don't know if you can see it here. I'll reach over here, excuse me while I just be out that picture, but if you can see sort of 3-prong ones that you get free with almost any kind of camera. Works absolutely fine. You do, if you've got a heavier camera, you might want to actually have a bigger tripod, or one that can take the weight. So that's the only consideration I would say, is make sure that the tripod can take the weight of whatever you're putting on it. The other thing that you might want to look at is teleprompter, because as you probably guessed by now, I can go up and down, wander around about, and if you're doing things where you've got a much tighter timetable and you do need to keep to time, and you do need to get certain things out, then a teleprompter allows you to actually have a script, and you don't actually have to have that script. You can also just have like bullet points on it, so you know exactly what you're doing. And the thing about a teleprompter is, because in effect you're looking through the words directly into the camera, so it becomes much more engaging for the person viewing it. And again, with the teleprompters, they're actually relatively cheap these days. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about is the background, the screen. And again, a relatively cheap screen, and this one made by a company called Lastolite. I use the blue most of the time, but also on the other side it's got a chroma green, which allows me to do keying. So that's pretty much a quick run through the equipment and what I've got, and I hope that you find it useful. I hope that it's going to help you in if you decide to move on with your basic webcam setup. Do drop things into the chat. I'm happy to go into some of the things in a bit more detail. I'm aware it's been, even though it's been like 8 or 9 minutes, it's still been quite a rushed thing all the way through it, and there's a lot more detail that I could tell you. So do let me know what you think, and in the meantime I'll say thank you very much for watching.